What's up guys, Bestinwest here, and today's the day. I'm going to be participating in a Tempest Cup in San Francisco today. If you guys have been following me, I've been participating in my local El Cerrito theme cups held by self.gg. And I wanted to test my skills outside of my community. I know I participated in Berkeley's Boulder Cup, but I feel like San Francisco might have some different competition. And if I understand the ranking system correctly, it's based on unique trainers that you beat during these cups. So hopefully by participating in this cup, I can do well and get my ranking up some more to possibly qualify for regionals and whatever. But here's my team. I have decided to go with the powder SNOW-BAMA snow. I feel like it gives me a little bit more flexibility with those two different types of charge moves, and I just want to create some differentiation from me and like the rest of the field, right? Like everyone's gonna be running a razor leafer. I still get that grass coverage with the energy ball, but it just won't hit as hard with the fast moves. But I do have that powder snow, and I have that what's it called, outrage, to deal with Altaria. So instead of losing to Altaria like by a lot, I can at least still deal some damage to it. I'm pretty excited, but yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, it seems like the organizers are here and we're about to get started. People are checking in, and yeah, let's get ready. It ends up being about 26 people in this tournament, so it's a relatively large tournament. I think about 5 rounds at least. Hopefully I can get some wins. Let's see. Okay, so we just got matched up with our first opponent. We have XPO362 right here with me, first opponent, and yeah, I'm pretty excited. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so I'm going to pause this real quick and talk about how I chose the team to use to go up against XPO. So looking at his team, I see that he has 4 water types, because Quagsire is water and ground. If I had a Razor Leafer, I would definitely use it in this situation because it would counter 5 of his 6 Pokemon. Sorry, 4 of his 6 Pokemon, but I don't, so I end up using Lantern. Lantern will go neutral or beat 5 of his 6 Pokemon, so I end up deciding to lead off with Lantern. Now, the next Pokemon that I have to worry about is Tropius. So with Tropius, I decide that to use Skarmory, because if I use Altaria, he has 2 Pokemon with potential ice moves in Lapras and Celio, and also Skarmory will win against Altaria if we have shields, so I decide to just go with the mirror in that case and use my Skarmory. So my Skarmory can beat or go neutral with Tropius, Celio, Lapras, Skarmory, and it can do a good amount of damage to Quagsire as well. And for my last Pokemon, I decided to go with Lapras. Lapras can do good damage against Quagsire. I think it can beat it actually in a even matchup. It can beat Skarmory. It will lose against Celio and Lapras, at least his Lapras because he has a higher CP, but it would go neutral against his Lapras if we were around the same CP. It would lose to Tropius, but it will do a lot of damage to Tropius if I end up in that situation. So I decide to go with Lapras. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so let's get right into it. XPO versus Bestinwest. So to lead off, I send out Lantern. He sends out Skarmory. This is a positive matchup for me, so he switches out right away to Quagsire. So once I see that, I send out Skarmory. I have the switch advantage, so I go ahead and do that. Now he's going to get a Stone Edge off. It's going to do neutral damage to Skarmory, so I decide to block that because even though it's neutral, it's going to do a lot of damage. I get this Sky Attack off. He's going to end up blocking that, which is totally fine because that's going to allow me to do some more neutral damage to him. He's doing not very effective damage to me, so that's okay. He gets a Stone Edge off. He doesn't have Stab on Stone Edge, so that's a plus 20% less damage. So I get my Sky Attack off. And knock him out. He sends in Lapras, so at this point I'm at a positive right now, so I decide to just keep Skarmory in. He has a Water Gun Lapras, so it's going to be doing neutral damage to me. He's going to get the Surf off, and that's totally fine, because all the damage that I just did was positive. So I get this Thunderbolt off. If he doesn't shield this, it's going to get knocked out. So he does shield it. But nonetheless, this is a positive matchup for me because anything that Lapras throws at me is going to be not very effective damage. So Surf, not very effective damage. I should get this Thunderbolt off. Yep, I get this Thunderbolt off, and he will faint. He has one last Pokemon. It's the Skarmory that was out earlier. And so again, this is a positive matchup for me. I get this Thunderbolt off. Is going to deal super effective damage and pretty much knock him out. He's going to get one last Sky Attack off. I'm going to block it anyways, so just for safety measures.
Alright, so that was round one. I was able to pull it off. Seems like my Lantern did a little bit of work, just a little bit. It was a good match though. I think I just outpicked you, like the first matchup, really. But on to match two, or round two, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, so for this second round, I decide to lead off with Abomasnow. The reason why I led off with Abomasnow was mainly just because I wanted to try out my strategy of not using Abomasnow in the first match, and then bringing it in with Powder Snow in the second match to throw them off. This was not the right situation. Plus, I don't think you should ever lead off with Abomasnow, just because if it gets caught up in a bad matchup, you're pretty much done for. But I do end up bringing out Abomasnow in the lead, and for the same reasons as last, I include Lantern. And instead of going with the trusty Skarmory from the first match, I bring in Altaria. I think I was overconfident this match, and I just brought in trustworthy Pokemon and Pokemon that I had success with in my practice matches. But you'll see what happens. Doesn't really turn out that well for me. So getting right into it, like I mentioned, I lead off with Abomasnow. He leads off with Celio. So at this point, I should just get out of there right now because Powder Snow is dealing. Celio is double resistant against snow attacks, and I am neutral to snow attacks. So right there should be me switching out right away. But I get this energy ball up, and he blocks it anyways. I was hoping to catch him off guard. I switch to Lantern. He switches to Tropius, a pretty much almost direct counter to my Lantern, but I do have Thunderbolt, which will deal neutral damage to him. But those Razor Leafs are just eating me alive. So I'm switch locked. He's going to get this charge move off and knock out my Lantern, one of the best Pokemon in my team. So at this point, I bring back out Abomasnow. I am dealing double super effective damage to his Tropius, and I have a charge move up. I go ahead and spam Outrage, hoping that it's something that will deal neutral damage, and it is to his Skarmory. So he's going to knock out my Abomasnow with his fast attacks. I send out my last Pokemon, Altaria. This is a bad matchup. I do end up knocking out his Skarmory, I believe. So I use Sky Attack right here. He blocks it. He has no more shields, but he has another Pokemon still. He has that Celio holding in the back. So I have to shield this Sky Attack. I have no other Pokemon. So go ahead and just fast attack that down. Hope spam sky attack on this Celio. He has no more shields, so he takes it, but he has a charge move, and guess what it is? Aurora Beam. Double super effective hit damage. I'm dead.
GG. Alright, so that was round 2. He got me. Again, I think it was a bad lead. But yeah, we'll see how this last one goes, and hopefully I pull it off. Hopefully I pull it off, but we'll see. Alright,
we'll see about that.
Alright.
Okay, so for this last match, I decided to do something a little bit different, but also build upon what I did in the first match. Instead of leading off with Lantern, I decided to lead off with Steelix, because I know no matter what he chooses, Steelix will do a good amount of damage to any of his Pokemon. What I found with some practice matches with Zionic, you should go check out his YouTube channel if you haven't yet. I'll leave a link in the description. With my practice matches with Zionic, Steelix, with both charge moves, Crunch and Earthquake, can really mess with your opponent's shielding, because it's really hard to guess which one you're going to do, right? Crunch and Earthquake. But anyways, I lead off with Steelix. No matter what Pokemon he chooses, I will do a good amount of damage to it with shields, if I have shields at least. I also go with Lantern and Skarmory. So again, I chose Lantern and Skarmory for the reasons I mentioned in the first match. So let's see how it goes. Okay, getting right into it, I lead off with Steelix. He leads off with Lantern. So with Water Gun, it will do a ton of damage to me, but he has Charge Beam. So I know that I should win this matchup no matter what happens. So I go ahead and get a Crunch off. If he's not counting my moves, he'll know that it's a Crunch, but it's really hard to count moves sometimes. So he has a charge move. With Charge Beam, I knew it was probably going to be Hydro Pump, so I block that. Now I go ahead and charge my Earthquake. Seeing that he thought I crunched him last time, I go ahead and get this Earthquake off and knock him out with one more Earthquake. He sends in Tropius. Now Tropius is doing neutral damage to Steelix, but Steelix is crazy bulky, so I'm going to go ahead and get this Crunch off. He's not going to block. It's going to do a decent amount of damage. He's going to get this Leaf Blade off, and it's going to do neutral damage to me, but again, Steelix is super bulky. I also have any damage that Steelix does at this point is bonus damage in my head, so I go ahead and just keep Steelix in. I go ahead and preserve that switch advantage. I send in Skarmory. He's going to switch out into Celio. This is a okay matchup for me, but I know I have a better matchup. So I go ahead and get the Sky Attack off. He decides not to block it. I send out Lantern, so he's going to use Body Slam. I don't block that because I know Body Slam doesn't do too much damage and it charges super fast, so wasting a shield on it is just not worth it. So I'm trying to get that Thunderbolt off as soon as I can. So he gets this last Body Slam off and pretty much almost knocks out my Lantern. But I get this Thunderbolt off, I waste his shield, so he has no more shields. He gets this last Body Slam off. I decide not to shield this. I still have one shield, and I go ahead and fast attack down his Celio. I decide not to shield this as well because Skarmory resists this Body Slam. So I have the Sky Attack charged up, and guess what it is? Tropius. This is it.
GG, man. Yeah, that was yeah, that second round though, dude, you smacked me. But all right, guys, so that was round 3. I pulled it off. I don't know. I think it was just about picking, right?
Yeah.
Like this tournament more than anything else, I feel like it's just more about if you get that first matchup. And if you can get those random
switch advantages, advantages,
it can really swing it really fast.
Yeah.
But thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, man.
Good luck with the rest of the tournament.
Right on.
Okay, so we're going into second round. I'm matched up against Naku. That's how you pronounce it, right? Kanaku. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. He has a pretty solid team. Okay, I'm going to pause it right here.
and talk about how I chose my team for this round 2. So I'm up against Kanaku, and he has a pretty good team, pretty well balanced. We almost have the same team, except he has a Tropius instead of a Bomb Snow. He has a Magneton instead of a Lapras, and he has a Quagsire instead of a Steelix. So with that being said, it's a pretty balanced team, and I don't see any glaring weaknesses. So what I do is pick my most reliable Pokemon. So what that means is Pokemon that will, if they lose, they'll do a lot of damage to whoever they face. So with that being said, it's going to be Lantern, Steelix, and Altaria. Even in losing matchups, they will do a lot of damage to your opponent. So that's what I decided to do. So I lead off with Lantern, and Steelix and Altaria follow up behind. Let's see how it goes. Okay, we're going to just get right into it. I'm going to lead off with Lantern. He's going to lead off with Skarmory. Positive matchup for me. So he's going to get a couple of fast attacks off and switch to Tropius. I'm going to switch to my Altaria, which is a positive matchup for me because he does barely any damage to me. So I'm going to charge up some damage, charge up some energy, and he's going to get this Aerial Ace off. I decided to block that because it would have done a decent amount of damage to me, and I wanted to save my Altaria for later on. So he's going to take that Sky Attack, and I'm going to knock it out. Now, any damage I do with my Altaria is going to be bonus damage pretty much at this point. So I go ahead and get that Sky Attack off. Not very effective damage, but again, bonus damage. He gets the Sky Attack off. I know that I can get one more Sky Attack off. That's why. That's why I didn't block that one. I get the Sky Attack off. He decides to block that one, though. So he's going to fast attack down my Altaria. I'm going to go ahead and send back in my Lantern, which is a positive matchup. He's going to get a Flash Cannon off on me. Steel is not very effective against water, so that's why it didn't do that much damage. I go ahead and knock him out with fast attacks. I go ahead and spam Hydro Pump, not knowing what Pokemon he's bringing out. So it's a Magneton, a Legacy Magneton. He blocked that Hydro Pump. He gets his charge move off. I decide to shield this because I know my Water Gun can do a lot of damage. I know I'm going to die very fast, so I go ahead and just use Thunderbolt, but look how much damage that does.
GG. Alright, so that was round 1. I pulled it off. Again, Lantern so far has been my MVP. We'll see how it goes round 2.
Okay, so going into round 2, I decided to just run it back. He didn't see my second Pokemon, so I just felt like I should just go ahead and run it back with the original team. Lead off with Lantern, bring in Steelix and Altaria behind it. My initial evaluation of his team was pretty accurate. It's just up to him to make the adjustments. So yeah, let's see what happened. Okay, so going right into it, I lead off with Lantern again. He sends out Altaria. This is a negative matchup for me, so I need to get out of there as soon as I can. I go ahead and switch into Steelix, which is a positive matchup for me. He goes and sends out Quagsire. This is a pretty neutral matchup, depending on how I shield and stuff, and how he shields. So I go ahead and get a Crunch off. He decides to let that go. He gets a charge move off. I didn't count his turns this time, so he gets a Stone Edge off. The main thing is I don't want him to get an Earthquake off. So I go ahead and get another Crunch off. His fast attack is dealing super effective damage to me, but he's going to get another charge move off. This time it is Earthquake, and I do block it. So I'm going to go ahead and get another Crunch off. So I'm not sure if this was a smart idea, but it doesn't matter. He blocks it anyways. He's going to get this Earthquake off, and that's going to knock my Steelix out. Now, I'm debating which Pokemon to send in. I go ahead and send out Altaria, because if he had enough for an Earthquake, it would have done super effective damage. So at this point, this is where my mistake was. I should have switched to Lantern right away because he had an Altaria in the back. And Altaria does great damage to my Lantern. But Lantern can go toe-to-toe with Magneton. So he knocks out my Altaria with his Magneton. I send in my Lantern, knock out his Magneton. But it's back to the first matchup. Altaria versus Lantern. There's a positive matchup for him. Had some lag there, and I don't know what happened. I'm supposed to have advantage there, charge move advantage, but he ended up getting his Dragon Pulse off first. I get my Thunderbolt off, and yeah, he's going to finish this off really easily. I'm a little flustered right here, and I don't really know what happened. Talking to him, asking him, like, what happened? Like, I don't really know what happened. I start questioning, like, oh, what happened in that freeze frame? And yeah, I'm just like really confused and kind of annoyed that that happened, because that was a good matchup otherwise. But yeah, we end up talking about it some more, and I just felt more comfortable talking to staff and seeing what they decide if this should have been rematched. He was in an advantage, so I do have to admit that. But in a ranked competition, I want to feel fully confident that I did everything I could to try to win. Outside of cheating, outside of blatantly cheating, I want to do everything I can to try to win. So we end up getting staff to what is it called? Be an arbiter, and we pretty much send it into arbitration, and they ruled that I would have lost anyways, so I accept it and we move on. So I did want to apologize to Kanaku though, that for my tone in which I was talking during this situation. I could have handled myself a little bit better, but I did get flustered, so sorry Kanaku for my tone. And sometimes we just have to remember that we're playing this game for fun, and that it's nice, healthy competition. And these kind of things do happen. It's just a matter of how you can push past it and do better moving forward. But let's get back to Pokemon Go things. In this this round, we still have one match left, and so with this match, I feel like my team is pretty set. Like, I feel like I could have won that round. I misplayed a few things, and I got caught in a bad matchup. So what I did instead was I lead off with my Steelix instead of my Lantern. So whatever he sends out, like, I can do a decent amount of damage to it, so that I don't get behind too fast. Last round I should have switched in my Steelix earlier so that my Lantern could do more damage to his other Pokemon. So I go ahead and lead with Steelix, and I follow up with Lantern and Altaria. So let's see how it goes. Okay, so we're going to get right into it. I lead off with Steelix, he leads out with Altaria, and this is a positive matchup for me. So I'm going to go ahead and get these Dragon Tails off, which deal super effective damage to him. I get my Crunch off first. He's going to block that. He's going to end up switching to a Quagsire. So with Quagsire, I switch to my Lantern. Now, if I block correctly, this will be good for me. He ends up using Earthquake. I block that. I go ahead and use Thunderbolt. He blocks this, so that's great for me, because Hydro Pump takes a little bit longer to charge. He uses a second Earthquake. I block that one as well. So he has no more shields. I have no more shields. So he's going to get this move off. I'm not sure what it is. It's a Stone Edge. Perfect. Quagsire doesn't get stabbed from Stone Edge, so that's perfect for me. I get this Thunderbolt off, knock out his Quagsire. So any damage I do to Altaria is bonus, so I do a few more hits. I'm going to send out Steelix again. I get my Crunch off. He has no more shields, so that goes straight through. He decides to switch to Magneton. This is a great matchup for Steelix. No matter what move he sends out, it's not going to be very effective. So I'm going to go ahead and get this Earthquake off. This should knock out Magneton. Yep, with the super effective damage. He has no other Pokemon except for Altaria. He's going to Sky Attack me, but Steelix is just going to take it. I get this Crunch off, and He has a little bit of health left. He knocks out my Steelix, but I send out my Altaria, and before it even
GG,
pops
man.
up, it's dead.
GG, it was close.
Good series.
GG. All right, so that was round 3, match 3. It was 1-1, and I pulled off the last round. It was a close match, though, just close round in general. I got a little flustered, but you know, it happens. But on to round 3. All right.